Alright folks, bringing you another benchmark video. This is with the RTX 3080 Trinity OC. It's effectively an Nvidia's founder card. It's not an overclocked Strix or anything like that. Everything's running at stock and it's using a Ryzen 9 5950X. I'm using 32GB of CL16 3600 MHz RAM. It's installed on a Data SX200 Pro NVMe. It's around, like, it's Gen 3, but it's about 3500 speed. So yeah, it's basically just running on a NVMe. It's running on a 3080 and a 5950X. Every setting's maxed that you can put it on. I haven't got depth of field or motion blur on just because I don't like the look of them. And the DLSS mode that it's on is on auto. You can turn it up to, or I guess technically turn it down to performance mode, so you'd get more performance. And honestly, it really looks pretty much identical, but I figured I'd just leave it on auto. This obviously has ray tracing on ultra with everything turned on. And I thought I'd display some night shots as you're driving through. You can see that all the, the headlights and everything reflecting. And then there'll be some footage of it during the day and maybe just a small section of actual gameplay. Effectively, it stays at 60 FPS. So the recording you're seeing is from me streaming at 1080p 60 FPS whilst playing at 100 whilst playing at 1440p with everything maxed. So I'm not only recording shadow play, I'm streaming and I'm obviously playing the game. So you are losing a few percentage points probably on the benchmark because of those things, so take that into account. You could probably gain up to 5 to 10%, because you won't be probably streaming at 1080p 60 FPS using shadow play and playing. So you're probably averaging a solid 60 FPS. You dip maybe sometimes to 55, but effectively what you're getting is a solid 60 FPS experience, which I think is more than enough. I think if you wanted to turn down some settings, turn down some shadow distance, 16 times filtering, maybe put it on performance mode, you're probably going to be looking at the 80s. I haven't really tried any lower settings because the reason I bought this computer was to play games like this on the high settings, so I don't really want to turn it down, and for me 60 FPS is fine. Yeah, if I was playing a competitive shooter, I'd want more frames, but when you're playing a single player game like this, the main thing you want is smoothness, and the sort of the smoothness factor is 100% there. It wasn't like a jerky 10 FPS to 100 to 20 to 90, it was just 60 pretty much locked. And I think obviously, kind of like The Witcher was at the beginning, there's probably going to be some performance tweaks, there's going to be some patches, I'm not going to talk about the gameplay, but because I don't want to spoil anything, I'm only a few hours in, but there's obviously some big bugs, cars floating, people having guns out, AI just been strange, but the game looks really, really good. Yeah, so that's kind of it. It hasn't used more than 10 gig of VRAM, it's used 8, and also usage isn't kind of the same as what it needs. Probably if I had 20 gig of VRAM it would use 20 gig, but it's kind of by the by. People were saying 10 gig isn't enough, it is. So yeah, these are some shots of the night city, the city during the day, and some shooting, just general gameplay. Hopefully that helps. If it did, leave a like, leave a comment, there's tons of links in the description. But I figured probably a lot of people are interested on how this performs with a top-end CPU and a 3080, so I thought I'd show it. Effectively, it runs it really, really well, and I'm sure if you picked up something like a 5600X, 5900X, even like a 3700X processor, and a like a 3070 card, you're going to have ray tracing on. It's going to be great. 3060 Ti also, I guess, has just come out. There's so many cards coming out these days that, yeah, when they're more readily available, if you're thinking about picking up a 3080, you're definitely going to be able to play games like this on pretty much maxed out and have a really good time. So yeah, there we go.
Just one of those days.
I know how you feel, mate.
What's up, brother?
Where there's smoke, there's bubbles.
I don't do small talk.
It seems to be in an incredibly dense area, you get like 50 FPS, and then because I'm using Shadowplay and streaming, you'll probably be always above 60 if you weren't streaming and recording at the same time. Which I think is pretty damn reasonable considering the settings and resolution. Bro, the car's looking sick.
Shut your mouth, you little shit!
Whoa! Look at you! Big bad pony!
It reminds you of Deus Ex. Yeah, it kind of does. I know Total Biscuit used to love that game. I've never actually played it. I've only seen it on YouTube videos, but I love these type of games. The whole futuristic, Blade Runner-y type. It's very... what I will say about the graphics is it's very strange. Part of me is like, the graphics are underwhelming, but like the textures aren't like the absolute sharpest textures I've ever seen. But at the same time, they look absolutely incredible. It's really weird. Like, I guess I've got all the filtering like effects on: film grain, chromatic abrasion, everything. Like, at first glance, you're like, oh yeah, it looks nice, but it's not ridiculous. But then when you take a closer look at, like, the whole picture with all of the settings going on, it really does look awesome. Like, that car there, it's had, you know, the shadows reflecting off it that were then, like, putting the lens flare onto my screen. Like, you see there's, like, the lens flare just flickering up onto my screen with the little coloured abrasions. It looks crazy. And he's still getting 60 FPS with everything cranked up to max. Bro, look at this thing. It's got a smart car. Can I cross the road? Excuse me, bud.
Brought your wheels. Gave them to my guy yesterday to smooth over the dents after our dust up with the scabs.
Thanks, Jack. Much appreciated.
Press V to call your current
Top-notch
vehicle.
work Miguel did. Rides like it looks. Factory new.
We'll see about that.
So we rolling or what?
Let's feel this factory new.
Jets. Pick the brake off. Rip up the shreds!
Probably shouldn't have done that.
No markers.
Bring in cavalry!
I was thinking it was going to be a one-tap.
Gas are still falling. Clean it up. Clean
It's
it
got
out.
some kick to it. Let's
Don't
go.
want to be bringing the target out under fire. Definitely don't want to slow you down.
Do something with the LID! You got this! Get him off me! ¡Hijos de puta!
Bro, there's a lot going on right now. My brain is struggling.
shrinking violet?
need a gun or some shit.
Got options here. Buck, you got eyes on this shithole?
Can I not pick it up?
Room he's in looks out on the balcony. Got a window on the left. Give me 2 steps to grease the lock.
Ano, get his attention. On to the ready.
Hack on the door's just clear. Watch yourselves.
Hack that door open.
Going down.
Oh, the gun's got a real nice kick to it.
Don't see any movement on the sensors. Looks like
Shit,
you
where the
got
hell's our target?
it. Clear to go. Look around. Gotta be there somewhere.
Right, it's hard to tell what I'm doing right now. I have no idea what I'm doing in the game. We're winging it.